Hello. Well, very few times that I disagree with the Cosmic Skeptic, but I feel it necessary to respond to his latest video, I suppose, in which he's talking about the Charlottesville debacle, and he's talking about the statue of Robert E. Lee, which he agrees should be removed. He says if he lived near the park, he would find it insupportable to see that statue every day. According to him, that's because Lee fought for the slave states, which he did. However, Andrew Jackson's statues shouldn't suffer the same indignity because he originated the University of Virginia, among other things. I have to remind Cosmic that Andrew Jackson also originated the Indian Removal Act, which legitimized the forcible deportation of Cherokee, Muskogee, Seminole, Chickasaw and Choctaw Indian nations from their ancestral lands in the southeastern United States to the Indian territories, 2,200 miles further west. About 50,000 people were forced to walk that journey, men, women and children, with the deaths of up to half of them. We don't know the exact figures because the militias kept few records. However, one documented case has 4,000 people dying in just one of the marches. Am I saying this is to argue that any Jackson statue should be taken down? No, quite the contrary. And let's hop back to the mother country. Outside the Houses of Parliament stands a statue of Oliver Cromwell, a man widely recognised now as being a demagogic, hypocritical, religious fanatic who could have been more diplomatic, but instead was responsible for the Civil War, which killed thousands, and could have been avoided if Cromwell had not been obsessed by his particularly unpleasant and unforgiving type of Puritanistic Christianity. The statue is still there because despite Cromwell's many horrible characteristics, he shaped the course of British democracy and he has his place in our history. And yours too in America. And maybe other countries around the world with parliamentary democracies who might be watching this. Let's look at some other icons. Walt Disney, a real sexist who would not employ women in any but the most menial jobs, and he reported on his Hollywood colleagues to Herbert Hoover. He also acted as a witness against former employees who'd been involved in an earlier strike for better working conditions in the Disney studios, a witness for the communist fight, the witch hunts that were going on in the 50s. Apparently Albert Einstein was a pretty horrible man. Elvis Presley was a monster. Steve Jobs was, according to his ex, Chris Brennan, a sex-mad bully. Winston Churchill, when he was Home Secretary, sent the army in to force Welsh coal miners back underground, when they were basically striking for the right to eat food. Henry VIII set Britain on a democratic course which would have been impossible had he not been a serial adulterer and wife murderer. All of these people have statues and memorials. And it doesn't stop there, of course, it goes all the way back. If you look to ancient Egypt, we get vague echoes of pharaohs who were disliked by their successors and had their statues destroyed. We don't thank them for their vandalism now. The Sphinx, that thing that guards the pyramids at Giza in Egypt, probably didn't have the head we see now. It appears to have been recarved from a much larger head of something or someone else. What have we lost with that? Well, we'll never know. And before anyone asks, well, yeah, that's an argument for the retention of statues of Adolf Hitler and Nicolae Ceausescu as well. So it is. But those statues were torn down in a national frenzy after their downfall. I want to remind people, though, that there is a wax head of Hitler in Madame Tussauds in London. We have to acknowledge the existence of all our historical figures, however vile, and if they got enough appreciation for a statue in a park, then we should look at them with a certain historical perspective. And instead of tearing them down, maybe we should devote a bit more time to considering what monuments we can put up to set our stamp on this era, because so far I haven't seen all that much.